So let's look at a couple of these vulnerabilities, like the Apache vulnerability. Now, this shows the latest from 2010. I actually saw one right before I came into class today. There is a new Apache vulnerability out there, so take a look at it. It had a problem, timeout detection flaw, and you could go into MITRE's database and type in CVE 2010-2068, and you'd find out about it. Also, notice that that was the latest one, but the highest one in the Apache vulnerabilities scored out at a 4.3. Anything over, my opinion, anything over a 3.5, and you should probably be worried about it. But it all depends on the risk tolerance of the organization. The reason why we care about it is you should be worried about it because you need to investigate it. You need to look for the vulnerability code that's out there, the exploit that's out there, so that you can apply it against that particular asset. So that's why you worry about it. Here, how about Microsoft's IIS ISAPI DLL buffer overflow in 2001? This was instantiated by Code Red and Nimda worms. In other words, they attacked against this buffer overflow. Very, very high scoring, by the way. This is the one that kind of scared me when it came out, but I think it's a great place for us to look as an attacker, is on the Internet Printing Protocol printer overflow. The Internet Printing Protocol is a part of the IIS for you to use, so you could actually print over the internet or over the network. It's one of those features. The reason why they created it, I think, and I'm not sure, is they created it so that they could make SharePoint kind of like a print server all over again, because SharePoint is a web server. I mean, do you really want to print from the internet? I hope you do, because that's how I'm going to get into your network. So it was a simple little buffer overflow that caused you to be able to corrupt. Internet Printing Protocol allowed you to corrupt the web server and actually get into the web server itself. IIS directory traversal attacks. You may know this as the .. If you wanted to right now at the command line, you could type in cd .. /cd .. and that would move you up directories. And that is doing directory traversal. That's actually going up the directories. cd .. goes up a level. This allows you to access files, directories, and stored not just in the web server, but allowed you to get all the way to, on Microsoft machines, the WinNT directory, and then inside of WinNT you could actually get to command.exe, allowing you to do a remote command shell on the web server, on all web servers. This was first noted by Rainforest Puppy. The problem is that the attacker looks at the absolute links. They can dig right down into this server, and they can traverse outside of the web server and into any structure inside of the machine. You say, Dean, if I look up Rainforest Puppy, what I'm going to find out is this was from 10 years ago. Nobody's susceptible to the IIS directory traversal. See, there's this company called Adobe, and they actually do this online thing. You may have heard of Adobe Connect. I actually use it for a lot of my live classes. And in Adobe Connect, they have all these different organizations that have, well, their services offered up by Adobe, so that when I do my classroom, we go to Adobe instead of Dean.com. They were susceptible to a directory traversal 6 months ago, 9 months ago, I think. The point is that when we learn about this directory traversal, when you learn about these classic flaws and vulnerabilities, you learn how to be ready for that next vulnerability that's out there. I'll try directory traversal against Adobe. I'll try directory traversal against the client who hired me to do this thing. Learn all these different tools. Realize that this is nothing more than a screwdriver or a hammer or a pack of nails that's on your tool belt that you're going to use. You have to think with it, you have to play through it, you have to attack with it and understand how the attack works, so that you can then take a unique piece of this and a unique piece of that and create a custom exploit. Unicode. When we talk about Unicode attacks, this is a generic category of attacks. It's another way to say the same thing. Remember, there's a whole bunch of characters in a whole bunch of different languages out there, but when we offer this to a computer, the computer says, oh, I see you want me to interpret this hex as ASCII, or this ASCII as hex. And you could say the same thing over and over and over again in a variety of different ways, and the machine will read those particular translations for you. Oh, well, let me take care of that for you. So let's look at the IIS logs. So in IIS logs, all the visits to the log files, and the log files located in system root log files. It collects it, it synchronizes your clock, it's got good continuity, it helps with integrity. We could have unspecified executable path vulnerabilities. For instance, //system32 system win_t. And you have a path environmental variable that will allow you to get to these different locations without being specific. So what you need to realize is that it is possible to do directory traversal on Windows machines as well as other operating systems that are out there, and you can start from within the web server itself. What you want to do in all cases here is you want to look at the list of vulnerabilities regularly to find good tools, to find good ways to exploit your customer and do a proper pen test. You're going to tell them to patch, and remember, that's the opposite. If the vulnerability pops up and they've patched it, then you won't be vulnerable to that any longer as long as the patch is there, so therefore they won't be vulnerable, you can't attack there. You're going to look at the logs and the traffic that are flowing across there. If you can sniff that information, you're going to look at their logs and their traffic to see who may be coming to their site. For resources on this, I didn't put any in here because what I want you to do is I want you to go out and pick that web server that you want to be an expert in. Dig down and find the great resources that are out there for you. I mentioned one in the recording talking about how to learn about IIS. Look for others out there that work for you.